Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking for a kind of shortcut, really, to incredible mental strength.
Yeah, and we're going straight to a fascinating source, Budo, the Japanese way of the warrior.
Exactly. But here's the twist. We're deliberately skipping the physical techniques, No slaps, no throws, none of that today.
Right. We're focused purely on the philosophy underneath it all, that ideal state of mind, the one that allows for real clarity and composure, efficiency, too.
So what are we actually looking at from the source material?
Well, these aren't just like historical ideas gathering dust. We're digging into three core Japanese concepts: Fudoshin, Zanshin, and Mushin.
Okay.
And these have lasted, from the samurai era right through to modern thinking, even psychology.
That's pretty incredible endurance.
It is. And what's really compelling is how the sources frame them. They're not just for fighting. They're presented as sort of universal ideals.
Rooted in Zen Buddhism, Taoist thought, that kind of thing.
Precisely. Offering a blueprint almost for human strength, a kind of a radical clarity, and maybe even freedom.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. We need to unpack what each of these powerful ideas really means on its own.
Right. And then the crucial part, see how they interlock.
Yeah.
How they form these, three essential pillars of mental discipline.
Let's start at the bottom then, the foundation. That immovable object idea, Fudoshin.
Fudoshin, yeah. It translates pretty directly as the immovable mind.
The immovable mind, okay.
That foundational state inside you where your core, your real center, stays completely undisturbed.
Yeah.
Regardless of the turbulence outside.
So fear, anxiety, doubt, anger, none of it touches that core.
That's the ideal, yes. Absolute calm right in the eye of the storm.
To a modern ear, that can sound a bit like suppression. We hear so much about processing feelings, letting them out. How is Fudoshin different from just, stuffing your fear down and pretending you're brave?
That's the absolutely critical distinction. And it's why this philosophy is so useful, I think. It's definitely not hard insensitivity. It's not suppression. Fudoshin is an active stability, a chosen state. To really get it, you have to look at the symbolism. It's tied to a Buddhist deity, Budo, a guardian figure.
Yeah.
Kind of fierce-looking.
Right, I've seen images, and he has those two tools, doesn't he? A sword and something else.
Exactly, a sword and a rope. And they perfectly symbolize this active mental discipline. The sword represents the power to cut through illusions.
Illusions like fear and doubt, the mental clutter.
Precisely. And the rope, that's for binding the wild, unruly feelings, controlling them.
So you're not ignoring the feeling or pretending it isn't there?
Not at all. You see it, you acknowledge it,
Yeah.
but you actively choose not to be governed by it. You're cutting the ties, the attachments to that fear or anger.
And for the samurai, you were saying this wasn't really a choice. It was basic survival, right?
Absolutely essential. On the battlefield, if you panicked, even for a split second, that was it.
You were dead. Clarity demanded that inner stillness, even with chaos all around.
And that absolute necessity is why it became so formalized. There's a fantastic quote from Swordmaster Yagyu Munenori from his text, Heihu Kadensho, around 1632.
What does he say?
He puts it beautifully. When the mind is not moved, even by 10,000 enemies, it is called Fudoshin.
Wow! Even 10,000 enemies.
And he adds this.
Yeah.
He who does not yield carries victory in his heart, even before the fight begins.
That's powerful. The victory is internal first. It's about maintaining that composure under extreme pressure.
Whether it's 10,000 enemies or, a brutal project deadline or intense criticism at work.
Right. If you're mentally immovable, you can actually see the situation clearly. You can act wisely.
Exactly. That wisdom, the ability to take the right action, it only comes when the inner self is stable. If you're constantly rattled by every little thing, every doubt, you're just reacting all the time.
Not acting.
Not really acting, no. Fudoshin gives you that solid ground, that unshakable inner place to stand.
Okay, so that's the foundation, stability. Fudoshin gets you into the arena calm and composed. But what happens then during the fight or the project or whatever it is?
Well, that brings us neatly to the second pillar, Zanshin.
Zanshin. Okay, what's the core idea here?
Zanshin means something like continued mind, or maybe lingering attention. Vigilance is another good word for it.
Lingering attention.
It's the ability, the capacity to stay fully present and attentive even after you think an action is complete.
Okay, I think I need an example for that one.
There's a great, really memorable saying from the samurai tradition that sums it up perfectly. After having won the battle, tighten the helmet strap.
Ha! I like that. Because it's so true, isn't it? We finish something big, that huge presentation, say,
Yeah.
and you just breathe out, you mentally check out for a minute.
And that's precisely when the mistake happens, or the next challenge catches you completely off guard.
Right, you dropped your guard too soon.
That's the whole point of Zanshin. It's a refusal to be complacent. It understands that danger, or maybe just the next necessary step, can always pop up unexpectedly. The moment your mind fully relaxes, disconnects. Poof, there's a lapse.
The sources use Zen archery to illustrate this, don't they? You do.
Yes, and it's a brilliant illustration. It's not just about hitting the target.
No.
Not at all. Eugen Herrigel, a German philosopher who trained in Japan back in the 1920s, he wrote about this. He observed his master. He said something like, the arrow hits the target, but the master is still one with the bowstring. You know?
Yeah.
He does not let go in the mind, even when the string has let go of the arrow.
Ah, okay. So the physical action is done. The arrow flew, it hit. But the mental connection, the presence, that Zanshin, it lingers. It continues the flow.
Precisely. It's sustained.
So this isn't just about, like, double-checking your work, although that's part of it, I guess. It's more of a whole attitude.
A worldview.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's an attitude that nothing is ever truly finished, truly disconnected. You can't just switch your attention off like a light switch. It needs to be more like a continuous flame. Always there, always available.
Well put. It's kind of the opposite of our modern burnout culture, isn't it? We tend to think rest means complete mental shutdown.
Yeah, total collapse sometimes.
Zanshin suggests something different. That maybe a low, steady flame of vigilance is actually more sustainable, healthier even, than swinging between maximum effort and total mental exhaustion.
And it protects you. Protects you from those careless errors right after the main effort is over.
Precisely. That crucial moment.
Okay. So Fudoshin gives us calm stability. Zanshin gives us sustained vigilance. What's the third piece? Mushin. This sounds like the most esoteric one.
Mushin. Yeah, it often gets translated as mind without mind or no mind. And you're right, it's probably the most famous, but maybe the most misunderstood too.
No mind sounds like, well, like being unconscious. Or blank.
And that's the common misconception. It's definitely not unconsciousness. It's more like the radical absence of friction.
Oh.
Of mental attachment.
Okay, attachment to what? Thoughts? Fears?
To anything that stops the flow. If you don't think in the sense of deliberate step-by-step calculation, how do you strategize? How do you act effectively?
Right. Is Mushin only for those instant reflexive actions, like drawing a sword super fast? Or can you have Mushin during, say, complex planning?
That's a really important question. Because if you just stop thinking entirely, well, you're lost. You'll walk right into danger.
Makes sense.
Mushin means you stop clinging to the thoughts. You stop letting that internal narrator, the ego, get in the way and gum up the works. It's about flow, pure flow, not blankness.
So the thoughts might arise, the options, the strategy, but they don't stick. They don't bind you or make you hesitate.
Exactly. They flow through. There's a Zen monk, Takuan Sush, who advised famous sword masters back in the 16th, 17th century. He explained it brilliantly.
How did we put it?
He said, the mind must not stop at the sword, nor at the enemy, nor at death. Get this. If it stops, it becomes bound.
Bound.
Right? If it flows freely, he continued, it is everywhere and nowhere. This is Mushin. The instant you hesitate, the second you think, oh no, am I doing this right? Or what if I mess up?
They're bound. The moment's gone.
You're bound. The flow is broken. The moment is lost.
That sounds exactly like what we call analysis paralysis today. You get so caught up thinking about the action
that you lose the ability to actually do the actions spontaneously. Perfectly put.
So Mushin lets your training, your experience just happen without that friction of self-doubt or overthinking.
Yes. It connects very directly to the Taoist idea of wu-wei. You often hear that translated as non-action or maybe effortless action.
Effortless action.
Yeah. The ego, that sense of I am the one doing this, it kind of dissolves the body, the training, the present moment. They just take over. It flows.
And Musashi Miyamoto, the legendary swordsman, he talked about this in his Book of Five Rings, right? Didn't he use an analogy, water?
He did. It's incredibly insightful, very practical advice. Miyamoto has said something like, do not make the mind into anything special. Don't treat it like this precious thing you have to control perfectly.
Okay.
Instead, let it flow widely like water, without form, without stopping. And then the key part, when it holds nothing fast, it can grasp everything.
Wow. Like water taking the shape of whatever container it's in.
Exactly. The mind, when it's in Mushin, when it's not attached, it just instantly takes the shape needed for that specific moment. Unrestricted. Pure performance.
You know, even if you've never held a sword, that feeling, it's relatable, isn't it? Maybe improvising music or playing a sport in the zone.
Absolutely. Or even something simple, like driving a route you know really well and you suddenly realize you're home, but don't consciously remember every single turn.
Right. Effortless competence.
That's it. It's when all the years of practice, all the training, just melt away into pure intuitive action. Maximum effectiveness with minimum perceived effort.
Okay, this is where it all comes together then. We have these three distinct ideas: Fudoshin, Zanshin, Mushin. Stability, vigilance, freedom. How do they actually work together? Let's synthesize this.
Yeah, they're completely interconnected. Think of them as layers of discipline that build on each other. Let's use a modern example, maybe leading a really high-stakes project at work.
Okay, yeah. Maximum pressure, lots of moving parts, maybe some office politics, high client expectations, the usual chaos.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So first, Fudoshin is your base. That's your inner stability. When problems inevitably hit, the budget gets cut, a key person quips unexpectedly.
Which always happens.
Right. You, with Fudoshin, you're not knocked off your feet by that storm. Your inner calm prevents panic. It lets you assess rationally. You cut through the illusion that this single crisis means total disaster.
Whereas if you lack Fudoshin, the whole project grinds to a halt right there because you're just freaking out. All energy goes into the emotional reaction.
Exactly. You're stuck reacting, not solving.
Mm.
So Fudoshin keeps you stable. Then Zanshin comes into play. You use that calm, but you don't get complacent.
Tighten the helmet strap.
Tighten the helmet strap.
Yeah.
Even after you solve that budget issue or navigate the team problem, Zanshin keeps you vigilant. You're immediately looking, okay, what's the next potential vulnerability? Where else could things go wrong? You don't just switch off because the immediate fire seems to be out.
That sustained vigilance keeps the project moving forward, keeps you ahead of the next potential problem.
Right. And then finally, Mushin provides the freedom to use that stability and vigilance effectively, to act without friction.
How so?
Well, say the moment comes for a really critical decision. Maybe you need to pivot the whole strategy fast. With Mushin, you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. You don't hesitate because of ego or fear.
You just act.
You act, drawing on all your experience, your knowledge, your team's input. It all flows into decisive action without your own internal monologue blocking the way.
Okay, I see it now. You can't really get to that state of effortless action, Mushin, if you're constantly being thrown off balance by every little thing because you lack Fudoshin.
No, you'd be too reactive.
And you can't sustain that flow if you keep dropping your mental guard every 5 minutes because you lack Zanshin.
Exactly. You'd make mistakes, miss opportunities. They absolutely reinforce each other. It's a system.
For the samurai, you said this system was about survival?
Literally. They couldn't afford to be moved, Fudoshin, distracted, lacking Zanshin, or hesitant, lacking Mushin.
But for us today...
For us, it's a powerful blueprint for navigating modern pressures, for performing at our best. It points towards a way of living, really, where calm, vigilance, and freedom aren't opposing forces, but actually coexist.
Allowing us to meet whatever the world throws at us, not with, confusion or stress, but with clarity, purpose.
It's a reminder that training the mind is every bit as important, maybe even more important sometimes than training the body.
Fudoshin, stability.
Zudoshin, vigilance.
Fushin.
The three pillars.
So let's leave everyone with a final thought to chew on. Let's focus specifically on Zanshin, that lingering attention.
Okay.
We talked about how much energy, how many mistakes happen because we switch off too soon. We think the task is done, but the consequences or the next step are still unfolding.
Think about your own day-to-day. How often do you fire off that really important, maybe difficult email? You hit send.
And immediately click over to the next thing on your list. Total mental shift.
Right. And you leave yourself vulnerable in that tiny gap. Did you actually attach the file? Did you CC the right person? Was the tone okay? That split second of drop vigilance.
So the challenge for you listening is this. What's one small action, just one thing you can try today, to consciously tighten the helmet strap after a task feels finished?
It could be tiny. Maybe pausing for just 5 seconds after ending a tricky phone call before you dial the next number. Or taking 2 conscious breaths after you finish writing something important, just to reread it with fresh eyes.
Just observe. Notice where your attention usually cuts off and where maybe, just maybe, it ought to linger for a moment longer.
That little extension of mental presence, that continuous flame we talked about, that Zanshin in practice.
And it might just be the difference between simply getting something done and actually finishing it properly with real integrity.
Food for thought.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Budo's 3 pillars of mental discipline.